Super Typhoon Uwan slams the Philippines with historic force. The weather phenomenon, internationally known as Fung Wong, struck the northern part of Luzon with sustained winds exceeding 230 kilometers per hour and a massive diameter of more than 1,400 kilometers, covering nearly the entire Philippine archipelago. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, PAGASA, issued the highest alert level across Luzon, Visayas, and parts of Mindanao. By the early hours of November 9, 2025, the eye of the typhoon was located just over 400 kilometers east of Manila, moving northwest at 33 kilometers per hour. Authorities confirmed that the winds intensified rapidly, reaching super typhoon status before making landfall. More than 1 million people were evacuated as a precaution ahead of the storm's arrival. The provinces of Aurora, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, and Catanduanes were placed under Signal Number 5, the highest cyclone warning level in the country. Local governments, together with the Office of Civil Defense, activated over 2,000 evacuation centers and distributed emergency supplies. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered the armed forces and police to remain on maximum alert. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, NDRRMC, warned of large-scale flooding and landslides. The typhoon's wind field extended nearly 780 kilometers from its center, causing widespread power outages in Catanduanes, northern Samar, and the Baikal region. Transmission lines were toppled by gusts reaching up to 260 kilometers per hour. Several roads were blocked by fallen trees and landslides. The Department of Public Works and Highways confirmed that at least 12 bridges were rendered unusable due to swollen rivers and structural damage. However, the situation worsened even more as torrential rains began to submerge entire communities. The provinces of Catanduanes and Albay reported the first major impacts, with roofs torn off, homes destroyed, and streets turned into rivers. All domestic and international flights were suspended. Thousands of passengers remained stranded at airports and seaports. In total, more than 6,600 travelers were stuck in 109 ports as maritime operations were shut down. Authorities warned that waves could exceed 3 meters along the eastern coast, particularly in Aurora, Quezon, and Baikal.
Uy, motor! Naabot na, guys! Naabot.
But the worst was yet to come. As Uwan neared Aurora's coastline, the sky turned completely dark and rainfall intensified. Within hours, several towns reported total blackouts. Telecommunications also went down, leaving thousands of residents without communication. Meteorologists confirmed that rainfall totals could surpass 200 millimeters in a single day, enough to trigger flash floods even in urban areas. Agricultural damage was reported almost immediately. The Department of Agriculture announced that more than 60,000 hectares of rice and corn crops were at risk. The economic impact could reach billions of pesos. Fishing communities along the eastern coast lost boats and fish pens. The Bureau of Fisheries warned that seafood supply could be disrupted for weeks. The scale of the disaster led to the suspension of classes and work across much of the country. Malacanang Palace issued Memorandum Circular No. 106, ordering the halt of activities in Luzon, Visayas, and Calabarzon regions. Local authorities strengthened rescue operations with support from the military and Coast Guard. In Catanduanes, 30,000 families were moved to temporary shelters. On the night of November 9th, the typhoon made landfall in Aurora province with sustained winds of 230 kilometers per hour. The impact was devastating. Within minutes, metal roofs were ripped off and power poles uprooted. Coastal towns were completely flooded. Emergency crews worked throughout the night under extreme conditions. Authorities confirmed the first fatality, a woman struck by debris while attempting to evacuate. Others were injured by falling objects and landslides. However, officials warned that the toll could rise as search and rescue operations continued. Typhoon Uwan coincided with peak harvest season and followed the devastation of Typhoon Kaliji, which had killed more than 200 people just days earlier. The back-to-back storms worsened the country's crisis, overwhelming government response capacity. Power lines damaged by the previous typhoon had not yet been fully restored when Uwan struck again.
Mama!
Flooding continued to spread through Monday, November 10th. Entire cities remained isolated due to collapsed roads and bridges. In rural areas, rescues were carried out using inflatable boats and military helicopters. Emergency teams reported that access to many villages was still blocked by landslides.